Breaking news out of the Middle East. Iranian state media claiming the country attacked 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, also breaking at this hour, President Donald Trump on Truth Social saying, I have ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill.
No one sails from the Strait of Hormuz to anywhere in the world without the permission of the United States Navy.
What happens when Iran's fast attack doctrine collides with a U.S. carrier strike group inside the Strait of Hormuz? Dawn, 5:12 local time, and we're about to find out. 32 fast attack boats are surging out of the haze from the Iranian coast toward a U.S. Navy carrier formation. The answer will not look like a duel. It will look like a demonstration of what modern naval warfare. The Strait of Hormuz is not open ocean. That's the first thing you need to feel. At its narrowest, this choke point is only about 21 nautical miles across, with shipping lanes even tighter. Tankers crawl through it. Commercial dhows drift across it. Patrol craft, tugs, fishing traffic, heat shimmer, radar clutter, oil infrastructure, rocky coastlines, and 1,000 ways to hide intent in plain sight. Nearly a fifth of the world's depends on this stretch of water staying a U.S. carrier strike group. It is not just moving steel. It is moving. Imagine you're standing on that flight deck. The air like fuel and salt. Beneath your boots is a Nimitz-class more than 5,000 sailors and aviators, escorted by 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers and a Ticonderoga-era command architecture now fused into a dense, layered combat network. Overhead, an E-2D Hawkeye is orbiting like a watchful eye. Farther out, AP-8A Poseidon is sweeping sea lanes. An MQ-4C Triton has been feeding persistent maritime surveillance into the picture for hours. Every screen glows. Every headset matters. Every blip could be nothing, or everything. Regional tensions are already at a boil. Shipping harassment, proxy attacks, sanctions pressure, air defense drills, cyber probing, militia rhetoric, naval signaling. Real frictions, real hardware, real people. In Bahrain, the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters is watching. In Qatar, Al Udeid's command networks are awake. In the UAE, Al Dhafra surveillance and strike architecture remains one call away. Nobody wants waterway, but everybody has prepared for one. Now shift to the Iranian side of the shoreline. Bandar Abbas is just beginning to glow with first light. In coves, pens, and hidden launch points, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy commanders believe they have found the pressure point. Not a decisive naval victory. Not a sinking they can guarantee. Something more political than that. A spexed retreat. A humiliation satellite feed and every phone camera. 32 fast attack boats, some armed with rockets, some with anti-ship missiles, some carrying heavy machine guns, some acting as decoys and spotters, all moving fast enough to compress decision time and exploit the narrow geography. Their strategic logic is brutally simple. Swarm the carrier's screen. Force hesitation under restrictive rules of engagement. Hide among civilian traffic. Use speed and fusion to get inside the defensive envelope. And if even one boat scores a mobility kill, even one missile gets a sensor mast, even one fire starts on a crowded deck, line writes itself. Oil prices spike. Insurance rates explode. Tehran claims it can close the Gulf whenever it chooses. That is the bet. And from their perspective, it doesn't look irrational. Fast attack craft are cheap. A carrier strike group is not in pay cap or it can be built, armed, and risked in never can. They think they are playing asymmetric chess. They think Washington will blink before firing first in a crowded commercial lane. They think speed will distort the timeline. They think numbers will fracture command judgment, but they overlook something critical. Actually, they overlook several things at once. They mistake restraint for blindness. They mistake silence for confusion. Most dangerous of all, they assume the world one radar return at a time, one boat at a time, one local contact at a time. It isn't. It is seeing pattern, signature, behavior, origin point, data link correlation, electronic emissions, formation logic, route predictability. What they didn't know that the U.S. network is not just watching the water. It has already been watching the preparation. At 4:47, before the first engines even cleared their coves, overhead surveillance had already flagged abnormal Iranian littoral launch points. At 4:50, The Triton correlates wake patterns from dispersed craft leaving two separate inlets. At 4:56, the P-8A confirms clustered high-speed departures inconsistent with routine patrol. 1. The E-2DS battle management crew establishes track files and starts separating civilian movement from coordinated tactical vectors. 32 Condor acceleration. Similar headings. No accident in Iranian thinking group is not waiting for the threat human eyes. Cooperative engagement capability, Link 16, maritime ISR fusion, electronic support measures, and doctrine refined over decades are already turning those contacts into intent. The picture is not blurry. It is getting sharper by the second. Question changes. Not. That is becoming clear. The real when do you act? You're in the carrier's combat information. Red lighting, quiet voices, fast hands. The deck above you, but it's a brittle kind of calm. A tactical action officer leans in over a console and reports the nearest swarm element knots. Another screen shows a second cluster angling to flank from the north side of the shipping lane. The E-2D reports no aircraft airborne yet, but coastal emitters are flickering on and off. Somebody on shore wants a better look. Or a at 5:08, the first alert cascade begins. General quarters. Air, rotor blade H6 configured interdiction by a -8 are moved in, not for dramatic fast response the moment off. The destroyer readiness. Spy radars stay. Electronic warfare teams begin. Less than 10 minutes remain before boats hit the outer defensive decision line. Could you make that call? In these waters, every second carries strategic weight. Fire too early, and you a propaganda narrative. Fire too late, and you gamble with that floating airfield worth more defense budgets. Forseca can rewrite a week of deployments in combat can decide home. At to bridge warnings go out to sea. Unidentified Iranian approaching coalition naval formation, alter course immediate response. At 5:12, range drops. The lead boats do not peel off. They spread. That is the tell. Civilian trustment craft sometimes do. Attack formations absolutely do. One cluster angles toward the portside screen. Another drives directly toward the formation's forward axis. A third holds slightly back, exactly where you'd place missile shooters or command relays. Then the next piece falls into place. At 5:13, electronic support measures detect brief fire control activity from the Iranian coastline near Larak Island. Seconds later, infrared tracks bloom on a destroyer's scope. Not from the boats, from shore. A salvo of anti-ship cruise missiles has just launched, using the fast attack boats as clutter, distraction, and terminal spotting support. This was never just a swarm. It was a layered ambush designed to saturate perception and compress retaliation. Now it becomes real all at once. The destroyer's Aegis systems snap from watchfulness to violence. Vertical launch cells open. SM-2s punch into the dawn,